Okay folks, I'm gonna get a bit personal here and I'm gonna say something that's gonna upset a whole load of you. I hate the Spider-Man films. Every single one of them. Yes, I know you're probably screaming, but Spider-Man 2 was a web-slinging good time. But I'm sorry, I hated it. I'm a huge fan of the comics, and personally, I feel like all the movies so far have in one way or another failed on something critical to the character. Tobey Maguire has no charisma. That whole dancing thing upsets me to this day. And man, Venom, what do they do to you? And the less said about the Amazing Spider-Man movie series, the better. Thankfully, Spider-Man Homecoming is outstanding. For me, it's the best Spider-Man movie ever created, and it's up there when it comes to my favorite MCU movies. There's so much to love in it, but we've picked 5 things we reckon you're really gonna dig. Before we get to those, if you're a fan of what we do here at GameSpot Universe, make sure to subscribe as we've got some great content coming up, including the return of GameSpot of Thrones. Lucy, Dave and I will be digging into the latest episodes with our thoughts, comments and theories, and you can catch it every Monday right here on GameSpot Universe. Alright Walkrollers, here's 5 things we reckon you're really gonna like about Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay, there's Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow. Whoa, who's that new guy? That's me. I gotta go. Hey everyone.
Over the past 15 years, we've had a whole spectrum of Spider-Men, from broody emo to adorable geek, but Tom Holland's Spider-Man has to be the best Spidey we've had so far.
In Spider-Man Homecoming, Peter Parker is a mere 15 years old. A weird time for any boy's life. Just like me at 15, Peter Parker is an awkward and insecure fellow. But with the normal stresses of a teenage guy, this kid also has the added pressure of becoming a superhero. He encapsulates that feeling every teenager has, the feeling that you're way older and way more mature than you actually are, that we can handle the world now.
Then you finally grow up, realize it was all bullshit, and that no one actually has a clue anyway.
And neither does Peter Parker. Tom Holland perfectly plays that lost kid that's in way over his head. He struggles with teenage crushes, pressure from parents, too much schoolwork, and the boy has to go toe-to-toe with bank robbers with Tony Stark himself breathing down his neck.
Maybe that's why I like this version of Spidey so much. He's the anxious mess of a teenager that most of us were, but he's also the cocky superhero that a lot of us felt like, or at least wanted to be, all wrapped up in a red, web-covered package.
Don't do anything I would do, and definitely don't do anything I wouldn't do. There's a little gray area in there, and that's where you operate.
Oh.
All right?
That's not a hug. I'm just grabbing the door for you. All right, kid. Good luck out there.
At this point, we've seen the many faces of Tony Stark, from morally questionable weapons dealer to the savior of Earth, and everything in between. But in Spider-Man Homecoming, we get to see a new side to Stark, the surrogate father. For those not keeping track of the comings and goings of heroes in the MCU, Tony is actually the reason Peter Parker popped on his red and blue tights to fight crime. Spidey burst onto the scene in Civil War when Iron Man called for his aid.
On the roof!
Since then, Tony has maintained a guiding hand on Peter's career, offering him advice and, most importantly, his awesome new spider suit. Since Homecoming is a movie about Peter Parker coming to understand what it means to be a hero and dealing with responsibility, Tony naturally has some wisdom to bestow. Thankfully, it's not too often. There's only so much of that smarmy billionaire shtick that we can handle. Tony might be playing the role of Papa for Pete, but he's a bit of an absentee father, and it turns out to be an incredibly effective dynamic for Peter. He gives Peter the space he needs to make mistakes and figure himself out. Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark has a tendency of becoming the focal point in all the movies he's in, even stealing attention from others when he's cameoing, so the sparing use of him in Homecoming is smart. I walked away from the movie with a greater appreciation for Tony, having seen that he can actually be pretty great at guiding the next generation of heroes. Of course, he pops up in his still oh so cool Iron Man suit a few times, but we'll leave that for you to experience yourself.
Climbing walls? How you doing that? Adhesive gloves?
It's a long story.
Spider-Man is already a well-known entity. We've had 5 modern movies, we've seen him get bitten, we've seen Peter Parker wake up all muscular, and we've seen Uncle Ben get shot so many times it's not actually that sad anymore.
Thankfully, Spider-Man Homecoming knows its audience. And after Spidey's appearance in Civil War, we were able to skip all the dry, dreary setup and get right into the web slinging. The movie hits the ground running and keeps that pace all the way through the film. It knows you've seen the origin story enough times that it can just sink into the good stuff. This gives the movie a chance to explore the surrounding characters and villains without taking the spotlight off of Peter. Parker's best friend Ned gives the movie a lot of life, and his schoolmates really ground the movie in reality, while the villains and bad guys on the opposite end of the spectrum add an extreme level of intensity to the movie. And I really believe none of this would have been possible if the movie was anchored in the same old murdered uncle origin story that we've seen time and time again.
Sorry, Uncle Ben, rest in peace and all that, but unfortunately, Spider-Man is just a better movie without seeing your old ass kick it again.
I'm gonna die.
I know I said I hated all those Spider-Man movies, but if there's one thing they got right, it was the set-piece moments. The ones in which Spider-Man goes above and beyond to save the day. Moments like the train sequence from Spider-Man 2 or the crane sequence from The Amazing Spider-Man are proof that even if you completely screw up everything else in the movie, a good Spidey set piece goes a long way towards endearing yourself to the viewers. I don't like those movies, but I love those triumphant moments. Without spoiling too much, Spider-Man Homecoming has its fair share of memorable set piece moments, where at the end you'll feel like punching the air, but for every one of those, there's another in which things don't go as smoothly as you'd expect for Peter. And that's what makes Spider-Man Homecoming set pieces exciting to watch. Peter is still learning to be Spider-Man, which means he's also very fallible. In previous movies, he'd go very quickly from being bit by a spider to jaw-dropping feats with very little effort. In Homecoming, we get to see the uphill struggle. We get to feel how difficult it is for Peter to pull off those crazy heroics, as the film wants you to remember that he's just a kid. He's new to it, and for the most part, he's just trying his best. Because of all this, when Spider-Man does manage to pull off the impossible, it'll leave you buzzing like a fly. The man. Fly-the-man. All right, Fly-the-man.
The world's changing. It's time we change too.
The terrific Michael Keaton plays Spider-Man Homecoming's the villain, the Vulture, and thankfully he looks way better than he did in the old school cartoons.
Out of my way, webface!
Some of the most compelling villains in comics and movies are those downtrodden individuals that have been desperately backed into a corner. That's one reason why the Vulture and his cronies work so well. Their work was usurped with the Tony Stark Corporation to blame.
So, wait a minute. How many villains is Tony Stark responsible for now?
The Vulture really does start as a man down in his luck, being pushed to breaking point, forced into a corner to make big decisions that ultimately send him down a path of villainy. But unlike legitimately evil dudes like Thanos and the Red Skull, Adrian Toomes actually seems like he might be a decent guy under the wings and flight jacket.
Then again, maybe I'm just saying that because I always kind of wanted a pair of giant robot drone wings. Thank you for watching our video all about the new Spider-Man. Last week's video was all about Baby Driver and the best car chases in movies. We thought we'd dip into the comments, see what you thought about our picks for car chases.
First comment comes from Chris Beaumont, who says, top video, my dudes, but thumbs down because no Ronin and because Terminator is a better movie than Terminator 2. See, that Terminator opinion, that's the kind of thing that...
That's an old man's opinion.
I really, like, old to the point
because,
where...
like, you were like a teenager when Terminator 1
and
came
now
out.
you're like wrinkles and dust is collecting on those wrinkles. Like, every time you walk, little bits of dust particles come out from your bones.
I thought our subscriber base was a bit younger, but apparently there's some old dudes
This
in there
guy
as well.
is old AF by the sounds of it.
Yeah, well, Hidden 9 to 17 said, you said Cursor wrong. I still don't know. I still don't know how to say
Cursor?
it. Cursor?
Did you say cursor?
Cursor?
It's cursor, my dude.
I'll work on that.
Finally, the last comment comes from ascully.com, which is a great username. Does GameSpot have any employees over the age of 22 these days? I'm starting to feel old watching it.
How old are you?
I'm 29, my dude.
I'm 26 in a few days.
Yeah.
How old are you, Adam?
I'm 29 as well.
29?
I
think we've got one under 22.
The only other old person I can tell around right now is this Chris Beaumont.
It must be because
what an older.
It must be because Oscar was on the last episode.
Yeah, yeah.
We had to get the Milky Bar Kid in because we want some chocolate.
This Chris Beaumont guy though, I can see based on his name like
old.
It's well old. What an oldie.
Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this one, leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and we will see you next time.
He's got to be like 92 or something.
100 at least.
At least.
100 at least.
What a guy. Get off the internet.